Before the borders, before the flags, there was a river, and on its banks two great peoples lived, the Kikuyu of the Green Highlands and the Maasai of the Wide Plains. They clashed, they traded, they feared, they loved, but one forbidden love would change everything. This is a story of exile and belonging, of blood and bridges, where a child born of two worlds must choose whether to fight or unite. From the hills of central Kenya comes a legend whispered through generations. This is The River Between Us, an animated folktale of war, love, betrayal, and peace. And so it begins.
Long ago, when the hills were greener and the rains more faithful, the Kikuyu and Maasai lived in uneasy tension. They shared the same sun, the same rivers, and sometimes the same blood spilled in battle. That season, the fighting had returned. Quick raids, stolen cattle, and silent nights broken by war cries. In the village of Kirimaini, a young Kikuyu woman named Wairimu walked alone toward the river. She carried a worn gourd, barefoot, her shuka tied firmly around her waist. The village women had already fetched their water that morning. But Wairimu had waited, choosing a quieter hour. She followed a familiar trail down the hillside. Dry leaves cracked beneath her feet. Birds scattered. The forest watched. At the bend where the river met the rocks, she saw something strange, something she had not expected. A man, barely alive, lay half submerged in the shallows. His leg was twisted. His chest heaved slowly. He was bleeding. His long, ochre-coated hair clung to his shoulders. He was Maasai. A red shuka lay nearby, torn and soaked. His broken spear floated beside him. From his beadwork and stretched earlobes, she knew he wasn't just any warrior. He was a Moran, a proud one. His presence here was an abomination. A Kikuyu woman finding a Maasai warrior in her river during wartime should have screamed, should have run. But Wairimu didn't move. The river continued to flow beside them, unaware. A weaver bird called in the reeds. The man moans, half-conscious, but alive. Wairimu stepped forward. She touched his forehead. It was burning. His side was cut deep, but not fatal. Flies were beginning to gather. She looked behind her. No one had followed. She dragged him out of the water. Her hands trembled, not from fear, but from something she could not name. That evening, she returned to the same spot, carrying gourd water mixed with honey and leaves. She fed him slowly, using a calabash. He said nothing. He only stared at her with tired eyes. She didn't ask him to speak. He slept beneath banana leaves, hidden by brush. She returned every night for 7 nights. Each time, she brought food and medicine. She didn't tell anyone. She didn't write his name. But each time she left, she looked back longer. She began to wait for the dark just to go to him. She learned to follow the moonlight. She learned the sounds of the forest by heart. They spoke eventually. Short words, broken phrases, stories traded like small stones. She told him nothing about her village. He told her nothing of his people. But in the quiet, they found a rhythm. Her hand lingered on his wrist longer. His fingers brushed her hair. They began to laugh softly at the same jokes. She showed him how to grind millet. He showed her how to tie beads. In the 8th week, they kissed. It was not planned. It was not dramatic. It simply happened, like rain beginning with one drop. She continued to return long after his wounds had healed. He began to meet her halfway up the trail, waiting near the reeds. At the edge of the river, two enemies became something else, something sacred. And one night, after the moon had set and the fireflies had gone, Wairimu pressed his hand against her chest and whispered a word he could not understand, but felt in his bones. That was the moment they crossed a line not drawn by war, a line drawn by ancestors, a line that would change everything. Subscribe, like, and share with friends, and stay tuned for episode 2.